Standing to this day as a landmark of Ankara is the old citadel, enclosed in the walls of a many times rebuilt castle, reflecting the passage of civilizations, and whose foundations seem to date back to the Hittites. But the citadel has undoubtedly been the core of the urban settlement of Ankara for long centuries, from the Medes to the Romans, from the Seljuks to the Ottomans. It was still the center of Ankara when Ataturk chose it as the capital of Turkey in 1920. It counted then about 50,000 people, though it has now grown to a city of nearly 3 million. The walls of the citadel tell us immediately of the many fascinating and mixed testimonies from the past that one is about to find. Passing through its old stone gateways and walking through its narrow streets gives you an immediate and spontaneous contact with what still survives of the cultural makeup of Turkish Anatolia. The citadel has retained much of the flavor of a small Ottoman settlement built over the ruins of centuries. Roman stones, pillars, and statues were actually used to build and repair the castle walls. These old houses, hand-painted in traditional colors, still reflect the style of provincial Ottoman architecture. To the visitor, these streets, still echoing with the voices of the past, seem inhabited by flocks of children who, immune to the cares of time, had a dreamlike dimension to their fantastic world of pastel. In the days when the citadel's surrounding area was the center of trade, its streets were continually alive with noise from the craftsmen's workshops, the bazaar, and the many markets where all the commerce and production took place. This area is still known today as the Haymarket. And this is Ship Market Street, where the local ship market took place. Today, unspun wool is still sold here. In fact, at the heart of the capital, the traditional market still survives, with a variety of products difficult to find elsewhere. Villagers still come from the surrounding areas to buy colorful cotton material for the women, or even shepherd's cloaks. Several of the old crafts are also active, both for the tourists and for local use. From here we turn to Salman Street, the area of copper beating. When Niccolò Leotta first discovered it in May 1984, he began a study of the forms and expressions of copper beating through a photographic documentation in order to witness the survival of this handcraft within its own cultural context. Here, He is looking at some gooms of the late Ottoman period. And these are similar new ones still in use today. The strong similarity of design is a good example of the endurance of forms in traditional societies. The craft of copper beating still survives with the production of several objects for daily use. Various kinds of scissors are used to cut the copper sheets and to notch the different parts before joining them. This technique of opening notches is executed by cutting one side of the copper sheets with large straight scissors. The notches are then bent in order to hammer the other side of the sheets between them. The copper beating takes place over anvils of different shapes according to the stages of the work. The joint is then heated to a high temperature and gradually welded on the furnace. The furnace is usually constructed of bricks and stones. In the center, there is an opening where the coal is burned. Most furnaces nowadays use a small engine for fanning. The cauldrons and pots are then hammered with iron and wooden hammers to give them basic shape and straighten the lower circular edges before joining the bottoms. This man is using special notching scissors to punch the edges. The bottoms are carefully measured and cut, and later hammered and welded. Cooking implements are then tin-coated to avoid copper poisoning. The tinsmith heats the object and sprinkles the inside with ammonium chloride, immediately melting a stick of tin over it. The two agents combine chemically, favoring a rapid coating. This is the last existing paddle-operated bellow used to fan a tinsmith's furnace in the copper-beating area of Ankara. It is used mostly to tin coat smaller cooking implements, as these sahans, used to fry eggs in small popular restaurants. Coppersmiths and tinsmiths, proud of their skilled work, generally wish for their children to get a better education and a different job than theirs. But though we may wonder if this ancient craft has a future, there is no shortage of apprentices. The objects are in demand, and the tradition lives on.